Nothing matters. Nothing matters. What do we even know? We don't know anything.
All I know is I know
All
nothing.
I know is I know nothing.
I've said that so many times this week, right? From not knowing
Oh yeah.
anything and sitting in that so deeply where it's like, do I have to know every last thing?
Do I have to know? That is the big question. You know, even about all our feelings. Like I've had so many. Okay, here's another interesting topic because I've had so many clients, not just this week, but it feels like just in the near present or near whatever past that
Here and now.
this month. Can we say that? Yeah. That just requires so much embodiment, you know?
Mm,
Because it's like even the beginning part of the embodiment, like starting to feel anger, feeling a little bit of grief, feeling sadness, feeling anything, and then going, I wonder why. And it's like, why do you need to know why? Why can't we just feel it?
without attachment, story, anything, looking for like the matter of it.
Right. Here's your segue. Here's your
Yeah.
segue.
No, it's totally. No, absolutely. There it is, right? The story that is created with even just the feeling. It's like, why?
Yeah.
It is actually a completely new experience, but we're continuously trying to make it a story that we already know because we want to know, right?
Right.
It's the actual desire to know the thing that creates the story. We're so scared of it being unknown that we'd rather have a past experience that we didn't even like make up the story than it be something new completely.
Right. Do you think it's that we want to know or that it's that we want to understand?
Ooh, that's such an interesting question because what is it really? Is it to know? Is it to understand? Is it to know so that we can understand?
Is it to know so that we can continue to work on understanding because that's where we feel safe in problem solving?
That's such a it's to me that's the perspective shift. Is it to know or is it to understand? I feel like if it was truly to understand, the story wouldn't be necessary. We
Right.
would just allow for the unfolding so that the understanding can come from that. But it's like we're so hell bent on the knowing because of the fear of the unknown, or it's like we
Yeah,
need.
yeah. Or it's like the story justifies the understanding or something. So it's like we can't just feel. We can't just, well, there's anger. Well, there must be a full, here's why I'm angry. Let me talk to you for 30 minutes about my whole life story. And it's like, so fucking what? Yeah, you're angry. Let's just be angry.
Yeah, and had you just let it pass, it would have been gone by now. Now we're in the story, now it's 30 minutes later, now the feeling is not even there anymore. It's so irrelevant
Yeah,
to the situation.
yeah, yeah.
Just you've made it irrelevant, right? We've
Right.
created the matter. We've created the story. We've created what it is. It was never innately there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been fabricated. And also, then what else is the point? Because if we do just feel it with letting go of the knowing or letting go of the understanding, then what are we even doing?
That's the question
That's the
fundamentally.
ultimate
What are we
question.
even doing?
What are we even doing?
Going back to that whole story thing, why does it have to be something? Like we're so hell bent on like purpose, matter, story, rather than just allowing the experience and the existence to be what it is, an expression of it all, rather than like, and this is kind of where my head is, and I'm toying in my own mind of even the idea of purpose. Like, is it real or are we making that up? Because we want it so bad. We want to have a meaning and a purpose. Because if our life means nothing, then what are we doing here?
Yeah. Man, that's so many ultimate questions in the first few minutes. I mean, this is what we're good at, isn't it?
It really is.
We're good
I
at
mean,
asking questions.
holding it in my mind myself, even in my, well, also partially because of the book that I'm writing and like the fact that this is sort of the thread
Hmm.
moving past that perception that we see into like what is actually real. And it's like, God, nothing.
Yeah. Nothing and everything at the
And
exact same time.
yes, yes. But where I am right now, at least in my form of thinking and in my processes, but only because we said so. There's nothing innately there within its scope, like this table that is in front of me, or like, like fundamentally, it's all the same.
Hmm. But we have to perceive it in some way in order to create a reality around it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similarly to like the way that our eyes work, we take in information and we piece it together so that it makes sense but it doesn't actually make sense. It only makes sense because we decided it to do that. Our pattern recognition said, well, this bunched together is human form,
This seems
right?
familiar.
Right.
Right.
But like if you actually know what is being invited into the eyes, it's like lights, right? Fractalization, like
Yeah.
what actually is.
Energy, frequency. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, great. Okay, but this begs another question because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, sure. Like, yeah, we can sit here and talk about this. And also, would we be able to talk about this if we hadn't first gone through all of the shit that we've gone through, found the knowing, found the understanding, did the deep work, did the unraveling to get back to this point, you know? Does it and it kind of brings me to this like concept we were talking about yesterday about spiritual bypassing, where it's like, does spiritual bypassing even exist? Like, of course it does. There's a full definition of it, so therefore it has a right to exist. And also it's like, how? You can't. You can't bypass. It just means that you're not in it. You're not
Right.
at that
Love.
understanding yet because of the bypassing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I guess, revelation, or rather a perspective I had to see for myself when I went to Tulum.
Mm,
Tulum is such a strange place. I felt like I was in a time warp almost. Like things
say
just
more.
completely distorted. And part of, like, I could tell it was an ego thing, but all the same, right? Like it is what it is. Part of me could feel and see that spiritual bypassing happening, of like, oh, everything's love and light and people are just like
Like for you personally or in the
the
collective?
environment, right? Like you step in and that's the essence that you feel. This like
Uh,
love and light, like shamans on every corner, crystal shops in every, tienda. And it's like, okay, fair, right? I'm with it. And then you actually get inside and you're like, oh, okay. So there's no like integration, shadow work. We don't want to talk about any of that. It's like, what's the light? What's the love? What are like good vibes only?
mm-hmm.
And like in my head, that question came to be of, is this a spiritual bypass? And like I had to sit with myself of creating the judgment on my own, where it's like, get off your fucking high horse and stop acting like everyone is in all of the same places as you or as anybody else. Like they're just not there yet. That's okay. Let them feed what is in the moment for them.
Yeah.
And if it is a spiritual bypass, that's still a lesson. Like there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Touching it was
Exactly.
really the end of my whole conclusion,
Yeah.
right? Your
Conclusion.
judgment fucking matter.
Yeah. There's
Like
nothing wrong with anything.
it's your judgment. It's your ego telling you that you are better than them because you see things differently. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
It was such a drag on myself where I thought I was like dragging everyone, the whole town. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. I see you.
And I was like, oh, I see me.
I see
I see
me.
my own judgments and
Right.
my essentially bypassing as well.
It every time it just comes back to this is a me job. This is inner work, no matter what happens. And it's so funny. You know, I had something interesting happen this morning. I was gonna say yesterday, but the thought came this morning.
Yeah, sure.
The conversation happened yesterday. So speaking of spiritual ego at this point, right? Like, and that's my favorite. I love this. I love ego just in general. And we both know how important it is. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. But it's
Mm.
like you transcend the ego and it's like you fall fucking face first into your spiritual ego. Just slap.
Yeah. You're in 3D ego, you're like, possessions, fuck them, right?
Yeah.
Like, connections, nothing. Then you get to the spiritual place, you're like,
Yeah.
you
It'll take
start it
you a
all over.
decade to call out your spiritual ego too. But speaking of bypassing. So yesterday I was having a conversation with a mentor of mine, and he was expressing his experience with separation, with taking things personally, with different things, and like coming from a very beautiful heart-centered place of reminding me not to take things personally, like as I go through this journey and all these things. And because I was giving him just a little rundown of what's going on, and I wanted to interrupt him so badly, to just be like, I'm not taking it. In fact, I'm not taking it personally. You know, I feel liberated and I feel free and I feel solid and resolved and happy. And like, I couldn't wait to tell him this, like, and why. Why couldn't I wait to tell him this, right? It's like I wanted to prove to myself or prove to him, like, yay, me. I don't take things personally. Look at this, you know. And so this morning as I was driving, I was like, why did I feel the need to say anything at all?
Mm.
If I know that, then what does it matter? Just let the man speak. Let the man offer his wisdom and smile and nod and receive and be grateful, you know? And so it's just like another level. There's always these layers. It's just like that, but then my mind goes, why do I need to speak at all? I'm just gonna be silent forever now.
That will elevate my spirituality
Ew.
once again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like my ego.
Yeah, so funny. But you know, it's like we're quick to remind ourselves of how far we've come, which is so important too in the work. Like we obviously need to acknowledge and we need to see where we're at and see during the integration. And you know, I'm a double Gemini. The way I process is speaking anyhow. So it's like if I hadn't have gone through that experience of wanting to like just so badly interrupt and get my word in, then it's like I probably wouldn't have had this thought this morning.
Totally.
It's all
Totally.
here. It's all here for a reason.
Absolutely. Even in seeing the potential reason there, it's like maybe it was to like make a little giggle, right? Have a
Right.
little joke on the self, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like if the advice is not to take things seriously, then it was a moment for you to just laugh. Because
Yeah.
what the fuck was that anyway? It's like, okay.
Yeah, totally. I don't take things personally. It's like literally everything we take personally first. We have to. Otherwise, how are we even discerning it?
Absolutely. That's why I've never really been a proponent of like, let's kill the ego. It's like, why?
Yeah, why would you do
I
that?
think it's hilarious. Like, I love watching it come out and then being like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it makes for good stories. It makes for good podcasts.
Yes, yes, yes. Why do you think I'm writing a book? Because the ego shows. And it's like, oh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to keep writing my book too. How
So I've sort of paused the writing part, which I kind of like, especially like process wise.
yeah.
Because I've done about 4 chapters, but, like, I want to also instead of just there's momentum as always, but also just knowing, again, like, a creative process, like, letting it sit for a little bit and then going back in and reading it and seeing maybe what I wanna change or what's different
Mhm.
or I know that's an editing process, but I also don't mind writing, editing, writing, editing, and then sort of doing a larger
Sure.
edit in a sense, because to me, it also feels overwhelming in the idea of, like, write the whole thing and then read it over again, and then I was like, who is that for? Not me.
I've been writing my book for 5 years, like in my brain, on the paper, in my brain, on the paper. I'm like, I need to rewrite the whole thing in my brain. I'm like, that's going to take another 5 years.
It actually reminds me of how I used to take notes when I was in, like, high school. I would listen to my teacher, write notes, go back home, rewrite those notes, and then I would put it on a computer. I wrote them down 3 different times.
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny. I do that too. I did that in my yoga teacher training because I would take messy notes.
Me too.
And then
Yeah.
like my little like perfectionist part of me, Clarice, you know her well. She's like, "Oh, just go rewrite your notes." But it actually was quite helpful because it would really ingrain the learnings and the lessons and I could rewrite them in my own words or however I wanted to learn it. So I have like and I still have both for my yoga teacher training. I have my messy journal and then I
Yeah.
have my journal.
Yes. Yes.
It was
Yeah.
like
No,
highlighted and like
yes.
numbered and like the
Yes.
whole
But then the colors came out and I was like, "Oh, okay, titles are this color."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I
to
have
the
like the right highlighter color for each chakra. Like I'm just that's me.
my is hello? Is that me?
Is that me? Is that me?
No, same. So I also just try not to judge that in the sense like that's obviously a process that I do and I've done and has been helpful. Like you're saying, like to me, it's an integrative piece. And so thinking in like the writing process, writing because I'm doing it in parts. So I think I have 3 parts, and like part 1 is technically done, so to speak. So it's like the very it's like the story slash journey part of it all. And then the second part is like the actual transformation. So I'm like, okay, this part is done. Like let it simmer, let it sit, reread it, see what is trash. Because everything isn't gold, right? And I think
Mhm.
I'm here like, oh, this is so
Yeah.
good. You go back. Some of it is really good. Some of it has no meaning, has no purpose, can absolutely get deleted. So I'm allowing I think that's my next sort of stage is looking at these 4 chapters of part 1 that I've written, going back and taking out the crap. Yeah, I'm not unconvinced that I will rewrite some of these.
Right.
But there's also a level of allowance of okay, just also
Yeah. It
let
sounds like flow, you know, just letting yourself be in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like I told you I hired a local artist to
Yeah.
design these oracle cards that go with my non-existent book. And she sent me some like sketches. I'm like, what's the
Yeah.
word? Of some cards. And this is just, I think it's just the creative process in a nutshell. So she sent me one and she's like, this is karma, sent me another, this is dharma. And I was like, nope, switch them. Like they both they just were opposite for some reason. But the description of what I hoped for her to draw was bang on.
Interesting.
But in the moment, it's like, no, actually, I'm really feeling dharma from this one. I'm really feeling karma from this one. And so it's funny how it just like the idea completely switched in the image. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, no, speaking to that creative process, sort of same where I had a chapter and I was like, no, this is it. Like part of me is like so hell bent on staying within the outline, but then it evolves and changes as I write it and as the time progresses and as I also see it from a different lens where it's like
Mhm.
right now, this sort of chaotic experience that I'm in is going to have a different outlook because I'm inside of it right now versus when I'm going to be on the other side and what that's going to look and feel like and how I'm going to see it.
Mhm.
And so whatever it is right now, it is what that is. And then when the time comes where it's not that, that's what it'll be. Like, I don't know what that is, but it will evolve and change on its own. I don't have to force it. I don't have to create it. It just is going to be that
Yeah.
when the time reaches.
Right. It's reminded me of our gestation conversation from like a while back, where it's like, yeah, you just got to nurture it for a little while.
Absolutely. Well, similarly, it's like you have an expectation of like what your baby is going to be like and what everything's going to be like, and then it unfolds and it's not that at
Not that
all,
thing.
right? And it's
Right.
like you can't give it back. It is what it is. You just keep moving forward with what's in front of you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, circling back to purpose then, is that not the definition of purpose?
Right. Yeah.
Could it
Yeah.
not be that where it's like, it's not up to you? It's not up to you, but you follow the breadcrumbs, you follow the joy, you follow the curiosity and inspiration. Is that not purpose?
That's so true. No, absolutely. Yeah. I think using the word purpose is maybe a limitation in and of itself because of how definition works, right? Like
Mhm.
definition of a word is so specific to all of us, but if we take away all of the sort of applied conditions to purpose, then we can see it in a really more broad sense rather than like it's definitive and it's narrow always, right?
Mhm.
It actually is so much more open and free and like
Sure.
it's an evolution rather than a stuck point in
Right.
time,
Yeah.
right?
It's an evolution and an energy, not
Mhm.
a specific outcome.
Yes, 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 exactly, right. And I feel like that's part of that and whole non-attachment thing of like the outcome is not what you attach to,
Mm-mm.
or rather really anything, but
Right.
essentially if you're going to stick
If
to
we're going to
some
attach to something, let's attach to a process.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
your
to the
permission slip.
unfolding,
Yeah.
rather than what is to come of it, because that is truly the unknown, right?
Mhm.
The only thing I actually know is the step forward,
Yeah.
that where the next place I plant my foot
The
is the only
aligned action you're willing to take.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Whew,
Okay.
oh,
There. Well, we just solved purpose.
there you go, folks.
Solved it. It's so simple.
That's actually solved purpose.
Just take
Whatever
aligned action,
questions I
right?
get.
Because taking aligned action is so easy. Just go do that thing.
It both is and isn't. So hard, but we've said this before, and I've said this time and time again, but it keeps coming up. We make life hard. We put obstacles in front of us.
Yeah.
We
We
put
create the
everything
story.
in front of us, the story, the hardships, the outcomes, the things that we don't want and that we want. But it's never that, it never actually is that hard. It's actually so simple that I feel like it's thing to us to think of the simplicity of it, that it's like, no, no, no. Let's add
Yeah.
more layers.
Right. And we also have that conditioning like it better be hard because otherwise it's not worth it, right? Which no, that's definitely not true.
Or the outcome isn't going to be as grand
Right. As
because
potent.
struggle wasn't hard enough.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
it's funny, it's like almost as a collective, do you think as a collective we have then manifested this from the universe? Because
Always.
we're always like, oh, the universe is sending me lessons, sending me lessons, sending me lessons. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but the more we ask for harder lessons because the less worthy we feel ourselves, it's like has this created what becomes the norm now?
I think, yes, I believe 1005%.
Like what if we all just remembered that it was supposed to be simple? Wouldn't that be a gift?
be that simple. It can be that simple. Like, that's something that I tell most of my clients, like, it's simple. Let it be simple.
Mhm.
Don't whatever else is attached to, just let it all go. Find it simple and make that claim and stand fully 10 toes in it. Because if you don't really actually believe that, obviously the universe is going to be like, oh, she's just kidding. Here's another hardship. Here's another lesson. Actually embrace that it's possible, because if one is possible, then so is the other, right?
Yeah.
If you've seen continual hardness, just based on that alone, you know that there's simplicity, because we live in a dual world. Like,
Mhm.
it is so. There's no lie about that.
No. No.
That's so much easier said than done, right? Intellectually, we can understand or know.
Yeah.
Is there an inner standing?
All the inner standing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the shit that's happening in my life right now feels simple. And I, whether it's ego, whether it's me, okay, here's my point. I feel like I know who I am.
Yeah.
I feel like all these decades of inner work that I've been doing have led to me knowing who I am. And the fact that I know who I am, I'm still learning, by the way. I'll always learn who I am because I'm always changing. And also the raw, honest fucking truth I tell myself helps me know who I am. And
Yes.
because of that, it feels simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think where we get hung up and where we bring more complications and more drama and more levels of intricacy is when we don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're letting external forces, external circumstances dictate that for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And even what you're saying too, it's like you ask yourself continuously the questions, which is the inner work that gets you to that place of knowing fully who you are, where I think a lot of us, and I'm including myself in this because we're collectively doing this together, is allowing the questions to be asked from outside of us. And it's coming through conditions and limitations and societal expectations and your parents and your family and all of these things, but it's never a confrontation from the self, because that's hard.
Mhm.
It's actually simple, but it's hard. So instead, we allow it to come from outside. And so, are the right questions even being asked? Because they're
Right.
not coming from this internal place of dialogue and desire to know thyself.
100%. So let's say someone's listening and they're like, well, how the hell do I start to get to know myself?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
I would, because even that question, that's a question for me. That's a question for you, right? Bring that question, bring your questions inside.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not actually, I think, especially with just in any journey, but we'll just go with the spirituality one. No one has any clue where to start. And that's part of the problem. Who said that there is a place that exists?
Yeah.
Where is that? Right? It's where you decide. Everything at this point, as far as I'm concerned, is a decision and a choice. So ask yourself the question, let the answer be simple, whatever comes first.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a matter of putting the next foot and the next foot and the next question and the next trail and following that. There's going to be so many paths to take.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing that comes up for me then, let's just say it's like, okay, this pops up. Well, I don't trust that, or I don't trust myself in that.
Yeah, it's like such an ego thing to say.
It is.
Because the reality is, you're not even necessarily putting trust in yourself. You're putting trust in this higher, divine, God, whatever you want to call it. That's where the trust is.
Mhm.
And knowing that it's coming from there rather than yourself. Because if you really can't trust yourself, then don't, right? Trust that the message isn't even coming from you. Who's asking the question,
Yeah, I like that.
right?
Trust that the message isn't even coming from you.
It's not.
Yeah.
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 Because it really, who's asking the question, right? If it's like a deep well,
It's the witness.
right, but also then who is if the witness is witnessing,
Who's witnessing the witness?
who's witnessing?
Always the great question. And who's witnessing the witness? Witness the witness.
Yes, and that sounds convoluted, but it is actually simple, right?
Yeah.
Because if you accept, and this is obviously a belief thing, but where I'm at, I haven't seen anything that would negate what this actually is that because it's not you, then it is that divine God consciousness, Christ-like, whatever, again, whatever it is,
Whatever
you,
it is for you. Yeah.
that is the truth, right? And so that's the thing that you can trust. And sometimes I think too, because we take an action and we don't see the outcome that we want. And so we don't feel like we can trust these things. But have you actually taken it far enough to see the end result? Or do you just stop when things are weird and you're like, that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Not even knowing what's actually on the other side because you haven't gone deep enough at all. You follow the trail. Of course, you don't trust it. You've never done it before. Give it a
Right.
shot at the very least.
Right. Right. And it's like, again, if we want to go there, it's like you're stopping because that's part of the path.
Right.
You're not going in because it's not your time yet,
Yeah.
you know? But at some point, it's like we also have to maybe look behind us and go, we've also done all of these things and we're still here. So I've trusted everything thus far. Whether I feel like I've trusted it or not, I'm still sitting here having this conversation. The words are coming out of my mouth. Like, we survived another day.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I actually love that because it's a like an exercise, I guess, or a technique that I like to do a lot is finding the areas, like sticking with this trust thing, finding the spaces in your life where you did trust
What you do, yeah.
and getting evidence of what is real because
Mhm.
both are real, right? You are both untrustworthy and trustworthy. What are you going to focus on? Where is that trust then? Because both are always going to be true. There's going to be instances in your life where you can't fucking trust yourself, but you also got yourself safely to the place that you are in right now, right?
Yeah.
You're still breathing, you're still alive.
Yeah.
Relatively terms, life is good, right?
We're trusting that there was a lesson in that mistrust from 6 months ago.
Right. Exactly that part. So it's like find the evidence of that and see it for what it is. There's going to be evidence on both sides.
Mhm.
So what do you want to choose to look at?
Yeah, that is always my favorite thing. The reminder that we have the power to choose our reality. You know, even in the depths of despair, we can still choose. We can choose to look out the window and see the
Yes.
sunshine. We can
Yes.
choose that. And then we can choose to feel whether it's warm on our skin or not.
Exactly. And the despair doesn't go away, but neither did the sunshine.
Right.
They're both there. They're both existing
Yeah.
as energies. Like, what are you calling in? What are you drawn towards? Where are you magnetically attracted to? Because that's essentially then your energy, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that is where you live. And I find myself living in all of it. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and that actually feels really expansive for me because I really get to be the decider of which way I'm going to go. It's like all of this energy is abundantly available to me. I'm going to pick today, whether it is the sadness, the despair, the joy, the
Mhm.
fun, sometimes the hermit, like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. I
Yeah.
just get to decide.
You're the author of the story you're creating, not just the
Exactly.
character in it.
Not just the character. I'm also the book. I'm also the reader.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm the
I'm
pages, I'm the
all
ink, I'm
Yeah,
the
I'm
yeah.
all the parts, right? I'm the marketing, I'm the PR, I'm the person, I'm the Fahrenheit 451 that burns it down.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say you're also the hater. You're all of the things.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's like funny thing about haters too. Like I'm in a place where I think I love them because I see truth really for what it is.
Yeah.
When somebody hates something, I'm like, damn, they're not wrong. Like you called it. Like, thank you. And it makes me giggle because I then get to see myself in a
Right.
whole new light, a whole new perspective where I'm like, damn, that's actually
Yeah.
really
You're not
good.
taking it personally. I mean,
Not taking
yeah.
it personally, but also am taking it personally at
Yeah.
the same time, right? Where if
Sure.
I'm laughing
Yeah.
about the fact that that is me, like you're not wrong. It's like, yeah, that's a personal attack.
So what does that even mean? What does it mean to take it personally? You're not offended by it.
I'm
Let's say
not
that.
right. Yeah. Or I don't let my offense go any further than what it is,
And
right?
what it
It's
yeah. That.
I have a feeling, and the feeling is that being offended, right?
Yeah.
And just like sadness, I let it go, right? Oh, I was offended.
Yeah. Or you immediately take the feeling of offense as the lesson that it is and go, well, dang, they're right because I have done XYZ and
Totally.
that's not true to my nature. So I get to shift that.
Yes, right. Yes, I love that because I feel like that's a tool that I've used so many times, so much with myself, so many times with clients of that factor. Here's the mirror.
Mhm.
I've been offended because I see myself inside of the mirror, or I don't, right? And either way, it's feedback for myself.
Yeah. And either way, the result can be your next aligned action.
Exactly, right. Like, do I want to continue with this reflection that I'm seeing, or do I want to change it, or does it not matter because sometimes that's me and sometimes it's not, and at the end of the day we all have parts that are going to exist, and they don't all have to be fucking fun and joy and love and light. And if I'm an asshole
Yeah.
sometimes, like, that's okay. If I want to continue that, that's also okay. If I want to change it, fine too. Right?
I know we put so much fucking effort. There's so much effort.
And it really is actually effortless because the universe is always unfolding. It's always changing. The world's always doing its thing. We are of it. We are not it.
Mhm.
So, like,
And we're also it.
and it's right.
Most complicated concept.
Right. Right. But it actually is the most simple.
Right. Both, again, both exist. We should change the name of this podcast to There's no answers here. You have there's all the answers and no answers all at the same time.
You've got questions. We've got more.
Yeah. We have more questions.
Really great.
Yeah.
So much.
But I think the lesson in a lot of it too is just, circling back to not needing to know. It's like, how can we just be? This feels like the point. Our brains are our brains for a reason. They're a computer. They want to act like a computer, and that's great. But our bodies aren't necessarily computers. Life isn't a video game, or maybe it is. But I think the point is, it's like we can learn, we can build the skill to just be,
Right.
and train our brains to stop requiring answers to things
All the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For every single thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because obviously we still live in this world, are part of this 3D experience, but that's like similarly to like what in yoga teacher training, where it's like the bodies, there's so many, it's not just this, right?
Right.
It's layers and layers and layers and layers.
That's what my book is about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, don't over identify in one layer, whether
Right.
it is the body, the mind, this, but like any over identification is not necessary.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. Unless the over identification in that area is the message
For the next.
for that to
Mhm.
bring more balance,
Right. Yes.
then it is necessary.
Absolutely. And then at a certain point, it won't be, right? Because
Right.
they both are there. It's just like, where are you now? Where do you sit and settle in this moment in time? Because even though time doesn't exist, it's still something that we
Yeah.
can sort
This is the most annoying conversation.
if we're gonna do time, we're gonna go. I gotta have a whole new.
Yeah. Time will be another episode, not today.
Right. But like that
Not today, Satan.
there is a point in time, right? Let's just use it for what its purpose is. It's to be
Sure.
useful, right? There is a point in time where that attachment is necessary, and then there will not be,
Yeah. Of course.
right? And that point is still always going to exist, and so is that one.
Right. Because the
That's
moment you
why
bring it right back to your consciousness, it's here, present, here, today. Totally. Well, good luck with all of this.
Yeah, have fun disseminating that. Just as we are, though. I feel like we do this for our own capacity. Like you were saying, like I process
Mhm.
through the dialogue,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, did I get tons of clarity? Some of it, right?
Yeah.
Some of it just was more solidified in what I think that I know, but also in the knowing that that could change at any moment.
Mhm. Any moment. And then we just bring it in, we observe,
Yes.
and we act.
Yes.
We feel, we observe, we act.
I actually like this progression. I think the observer part is so missed.
Yeah. Well, it's too fast paced. Everything's so fast paced. Remember we were just talking, before we hit record too, about just energy
Yeah.
being pulled in so many trillion directions. It's
Right.
like we never really come to completion or conclusion on so many thoughts, ideas, conversations, especially through social media, text messaging, WhatsApp, emails. Everything's always just still so open ended. So we have all these open energy channels just like funneling in and out, in and out, in and out. It's like when do we just kind of cocoon? When do we close that off and come home to ourselves? It's not realistic even in today's society to think that that's possible or accessible to especially mainstream, but even to us. I don't shut off. I rarely shut off. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm out astral projecting somewhere.
Yeah. And my ego thinks that I do, but
Right.
also knowing full well, if that were the case, I wouldn't be so excited when circles close. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
the reality is I'm excited because they are open.
Yeah.
And so it's the coming back to myself and the closure of it that gets me jazzed. And it's like, if it were happening all the time, I wouldn't feel anything.
Hmm.
Just be part of my experience, and there wouldn't be any sort of like heightened feeling of like, oh my God, I just closed this. Like I get jazzed when a circle
Right.
closes.
Right. There'd be no
So
discernment because it just,
right.
yeah, it'd be all the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
so
I
interesting.
love that as the sort of like the where are these open energy sources? Where are the circles still open that are you're allowing things from inside to flow out into?
Hmm.
Because if we can't reclaim that energy back, then we're essentially doing ourselves a disservice. That I know for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
serving anyone, including ourselves, and certainly not the folks that we're leaving these energies open to anyways.
Yeah.
Because now they have an open circle as well. We're
Yeah.
all in this together. So like the more open I am, the more everybody else just has their energy being siphoned back.
I'm wearing obsidian today. Speaking
Ooh.
of mirrors and reflecting back,
Yeah,
this is
give it back.
give it back. Give it back. What's your truth? Here, just look into the obsidian. Yeah, I think it's so important to specifically pay attention to this. Like you said, be the observer. And then, if we can offer something from this, choose
Yeah.
choose something. Choose something to actually close.
Yeah.
Do the intentional work around it too. Maybe it's energetic or maybe it's actual physical. Maybe you have 4,000 unread emails. Just delete them. You're not going to read. Guess what? You're
So
not going to
obvious.
read them. Delete them. Mass
It will
delete.
be
That'll probably
so
feel so
obvious
good.
you're not going to read them because they exist.
Yeah. Right. Every time you look at that, like, oh, I'll never forget. I am one of those people that likes to have a clean inbox. Like
You know I do.
I know you do. And so if it does get out of control, and by out of control, I mean like I have 70 unread emails, it just like it does something physically to me. And I'm aware of that for myself. I don't
Yeah.
see that as a problem that needs to be fixed. I see that as it's time to clean up my email. That's it. Like I don't need to give it any more meaning than that. I have a friend who she came over for my 40th last year and she showed me, I don't know, we were talking about energy or something. She showed me her like Gmail and it was like over 20,000 unread emails. And I'm like, huh? My jaw just like dropped and I was like, I offered help. I was like, I couldn't help myself. I'm like, would you like me to delete all these for you?
I mean, even the question begs like, why do you have an email?
Why do you have an email?
What are you doing in there?
I could not believe my eyes, ears, body, spirit, soul, dead, past lives, dead me were stirring.
Dead.
The layers of dead were coming forward. It was just, yeah, whatever, to each their own. But
No,
those little things, like
absolutely.
you
It is
wouldn't
those
think about it, but
absolutely.
everything,
Absolutely.
everything
Yeah.
is energy.
Everything that's energy. Yeah, no, I like that this sort of last piece because it does allow for what you were saying before, all of those stages of the feeling, the observation, and to me, those are the most of the observation into the action.
Hmm.
We feel ourselves to death, but like, do we
Right.
ever sit and then decide and then actually go with it? Because at the end of the day, for so many reasons and for so many things, the choice that you make doesn't fucking matter. It's the act of choosing that
Right.
makes all of the difference.
Absolutely. Because once you make a choice and take action on something, you'll get feedback from that thing. And then you got more information to do the next action, whatever,
Right?
whatever.
Feeling the
Just
next
fucking
observation,
do
the next
something.
action. Right. The same process is going to continue if you allow it. Otherwise, you're just going to get stuck in the feeling.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's what scares so many people about this work. Going back to embodiment, it's like, I don't want to feel anger. I don't want to feel grief because then I'm going to feel that forever. I have another client that I've been really encouraging her to feel and to do this embodiment type of work. And she had a therapist. Like, I mean, therapy is so important. And also not all therapists are created equal. She had this understanding that if she was having breakdowns, that she called them, that she wasn't progressing.
Ooh.
In fact, a breakdown is a regression. And I was kind of like, let's question that.
Mhm.
Let's just maybe understand that a little bit deeper. Because it's like, if you're having a so-called breakdown, let's just call it an emotional episode, that means you're feeling the feelings that are present for you. So what does that have to do with regression? And so it's been a very hard thing for her to acknowledge, accept, understand that if she opens the tap, that she can close it.
Yeah.
Because it's been this whole light, like excuse me, I want to say lifetime, but probably decade of just packing it in, pack it away, don't feel, don't feel. And now it's like, if she does feel, she's nervous that it's just going to
Right.
and
It's
not
like
be
a
able to
pressure
stop.
release, right? Like how the more pressure, the larger the impact of that release is going to be. And so it,
Right.
of course, it feels so fucking magnetic or magnifying when you haven't done it at all. And then all of a sudden you allow it to be so and don't feel like you have tools enough to close the valve. But the reality is the tools already exist.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are very natural and innate, but
Mm-hmm.
you have given yourself the opportunity. So yes,
Yeah.
meltdown.
And this is just like spiritual work in a nutshell. You know, if we've packed it all into our vessel for that long, guess what happens when we start stirring it up with love and light? That shit
Yeah.
has to go somewhere, and it's going to be really uncomfortable when it comes out. It's not going
Yeah.
to feel like love and light, and I think that's where so many people stop, because they go, well, this isn't spiritual, or this isn't healing. I shouldn't be feeling this poorly or even
Mhm.
sick, or however it manifests. And it's like, well, no, that's part of it. You're needing to clean the vessel.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I have this visualization that I like to use. I've probably done it with like the past like 4 or 5 clients that I have, but this specifically of this pressure valve. And it's like, okay, let's go into the body and find the valve. Where's this? If there's a
Mm.
spout somewhere, right? I'm like, let's envision that it has a knob. And we're just going to open the knob enough so that you feel the pressure release a bit, but it's not enough for it to blow the top off.
Mm.
So sit in it now, turn it as much as you safely can in this space, and then turn it off. And then keep using that practice of that visualization, opening it up, releasing some, and the release itself, obviously visual, but like it can also be a physical manifestation, right? Go outside and scream if you need to, right?
Right.
Have a
Right.
yell into the pillow. Like there can also be physical actions taken that are going to help you in that release, but like do it enough where it's not going to explode.
Yeah. I like that. I love that. Because then they're just building the confidence in themselves, the trust in themselves, that I can safely feel my feelings without fucking losing it. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And the safety part is so key. Like I don't necessarily that's why I always instruct, I'm not inviting you to open it up and we're just gonna have a meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel that point where you've gone to the edge
Mm-hmm.
and let it sit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like that practice of like finding the edge and then stepping back is so important so that you don't blow yourself out of the water, especially if you're doing these practices by
Oh,
yourself.
yeah. Yeah.
Like be so incredibly in tune with that feeling and careful in the sense of knowing what the edge feels like because you will become uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it should be uncomfortable. If I'm
Absolutely.
going to
Oh,
use the
well,
word should ever,
yes,
it's
yes, yes.
here. It should feel uncomfortable. That's the
That is the
point.
expectation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get to that where it's uncomfortable but still safe because that's a medium that exists.
Right.
Uncomfortable but safe.
And that's how you stretch and grow. Yeah. Huh. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one.
This feels complete.
I agree. Yeah. No, this was good. We went all over the map.
We did. We were all over the map, you and me. Bizarre.
It's only good things. It's only good things. Only love and light. I mean, we'll get to the shadow parts later.
This had nothing to do with shadow. This was all love and light.
I'm still in